Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today's video is about knives that will always be popular. As long as they don't get discontinued, they will always be popular. They've been popular for a very long time, and they're popular for a reason, because they're great knives. And starting it off, we have the Kershaw Leak. There are so many different variations of this knife. You can basically get it in whatever type of version you'd want. They even have a titanium version. They have a San Mai version with like a copper wire down the blade. This one's the 14C28N blacked out version. They even have a frame lock version. But 14C28N, it is a Ken Onion design. I still love Ken Onion designs. USA made, aluminum handles, hollow ground, Wharncliffe blade. It's kind of a modified Wharncliffe because it's not perfectly straight, but this blade shape is such a little workhorse, and that's why it's probably the best knife to get somebody into knives. I think it's probably the most recommended knife by knife people in order to get somebody into knives. I use this one for construction, and I couldn't tell you what I put this thing through, and I could not believe how it just conquered everything. I was cutting drywall with, just everything. Now, mine does not have its spring assist anymore. It is an assisted knife normally with a flipper tab. Normally you push the flipper tab, it springs out. My spring is gone, so mine is a manual version, but I don't mind. I just thumb flick it, but no, there's no detent, but I still love it. Next, the Spyderco Delica. Spyderco Delica. Who doesn't love the Spyderco Delica? It's, again, lots of different versions of this. There's lots of different parts you can get. This one's a 20 CV version with aftermarket copper scales that has been forced patinaed, but it's just a fantastic knife. It originally is lightweight. Mine's got the copper, so it's not, but originally a very, very lightweight knife, and it kind of just fits in the category of a great EDC knife. The blade shape is amazing with this little clipped area up here in the front. Makes utility cuts just like it soars through utility cuts. Slicing this full flat grind blade just passes through materials very well. Pretty neutral ergos, so no matter how you want to use it, it's going to work good. And it's a backlock, so it's very ambidextrous, four-way pocket clip, so you can have it any direction you want. Before we go any further, I do want to thank today's video sponsor.
Whoa, hold your horses there, cowboy. I know what you're thinking, but don't skip this part, because I'm here to tell you how you can get delicious meals delivered to your doorstep and an excuse to use your knives more. Look at that drop bear. Whew. Alright guys, today's sponsor is HelloFresh, and they're a meal kit service that provides you with the fresh ingredients needed to make delicious meals and provide you with an even better excuse to use your knives. And who doesn't want that? I subscribed to HelloFresh for Jared and I many months back because I heard about them online, much like you are now from me. In my experience, I can only say that there has never been an easier way to take the planning and stress out of cooking. The recipes are simple and laid out step by step. You can choose from a selection of 30+ recipes each week before your box is delivered. There's a wide variety of recipes to fit your needs, such as family meals, fit and wholesome meals, veggie, and much, much more. They also provide pre-proportioned ingredients, which cuts down on food waste by 25%, and that's going to save you money. Now, please enjoy us awkwardly trying to eat this food on camera. Thank you.
That's really good.
Good?
Mm-hmm. I will say, of all the meals I've tried so far, every single one of them has been absolutely amazing. And it's not even just that I enjoyed each one of them. They were just absolutely incredible. Like, I really, really enjoyed every single one of them.
And if you guys want to try a box yourself for 65% off, we have a code with HelloFresh that you can use. The code is NKFans65 at HelloFresh.com. Again, you can go to HelloFresh.com and use the code NKFans65 for 65% off your first box. I highly recommend you using it because it is worth it.
Links in the description. The Rat 1, the Ontario Rat 1. And with this, we'll also speak about other Ontario knives like the Rat 3. All of the Ontario knives, well, there's like a line, like with these, there's a line and there's all different sizes of this knife, all the way up to the big version. You could also put the SE knives in this exact same category. The SE3, SE4, SE6, SE Jungler. They do basically the exact same thing where they have a whole line of knives from the small fixed blade all the way up to the very large one, USA made, nice and affordable, amazing knives, best warranty of all knife companies. You can break it on purpose and they will replace it. No questions asked. Replace any knife you buy from them 100%. So that's amazing. Think about that. No other company is going to offer that. So you got to give them credit to SE Knives and the Ontario Knives. You got to give them both credit. But yeah, great fixed blades. They have a really robust blade that can just like take all the torture you can imagine. USA made for these ones. These ones are made in Taiwan, the folders, the Rat 1s. But they come in AUS 8 or D2. They have the Rat 1 and the Rat 2, which is the mini version of this. And this is a workhorse of a knife. It is so tough. I don't think most people even understand how tough this knife is. I've watched videos where somebody tried to compete this against a bunch of other knives, including the Tenacious, the Kershaw Knockout, and the Rat far exceedingly beat all of them with abuse and just everything. Their lockup's nice and strong. They have tons of hardware. Mine's missing a back spacer, but lots of standoffs. It's super durable, super robust, but yet slicey and is a great blade shape. And it's on washers, but it's just a great functional tool. And it's affordable. And as far as the fixed blades go, they are really, really good for a USA made knife, basically on a budget. They do come in all different kinds of options, so the price does go up from there, but it makes it to where you can have a nice robust fixed blade that's popular and works really good. Now, speaking about that, we're going to talk about the Mora knives. I don't have one here, but it's another knife. It's always going to be popular. The Mora knife will always be a recommended knife. It's extremely, extremely affordable. They do have different types of options, but you can get them from $15 all the way up to like, $100 plus. And they're super robust. They can take anything. And it's like one of the most beloved and used camping knife, outdoors knife, because it's just rugged and takes everything you want to throw at it, yet it's extremely affordable. It will actually outbeat most knives in like a competition. Now, next, leading off of the Rat 1, we have the Praxis. Now, I did do a poll between these two, and the community picked the CIVIVI Praxis. And I have to say, I do agree. The CIVIVI Praxis is a hell of a work knife. Now, I think this was one of CIVIVI's first knives, and they just knocked it out of the park right off the bat. Came out swinging, and this thing is a great tool. It's a work knife. Spear pointish blade, amazing geometry. And this is when, like back then when this came out, geometry was like robust and thick and stupid. And then this came out and it's like, oh man, the ergos are super comfortable. It slices through materials very well. Yeah, it's only 9CR 18 MOV steel, but they do have a mini version coming out very soon. I know it's going to be in D2, but hopefully, we'll see more options of that come out. But yeah, the CIVIVI Praxis. Great work knife. One of the best budget work knives you can buy. Next, let's step it up a notch. Hard use knives. The Cold Steel 4MAX Scout. This will always be the hard use knife of the community. Now, you could fit the 8010 in here or the Voyager. I think in the same, bucket. So you could switch this out for any of those because it is so strong, so tough, so resilient that it, not only has it been proven through videos, testings, and time, most people that have one or have used one and abused one, you know, they absolutely love it. And it's easy to recommend when somebody says, I need a hard use knife. Well, there's always the same 3 to 4 knives people point to, and that is these cold steel knives with the triad locks. Now, like I said, you could fit one of those other ones in here as well. My example right now is the Formax. I think it is the ultimate hard use badassery knife you can get with the triad lock that's so strong. It's stronger than anything you'll need, and it's capable of batoning. It's capable. You can basically kind of treat it like a fixed blade. Now, I don't want to say that, you know, because it's different from a fixed blade, but it's as close as you can get. Next we have, let's talk about the Spyderco Para 3 and the Spyderco Pm2. So they had to be on the list. You guys already know that. They're super iconic. Whether you love them or hate them, you can't deny that they're super iconic and everybody's raved about them. They come in so many different kinds of steels. There's so many different aftermarket parts. You can make it your own. A lot of people don't like the way they look, but when they get them, they usually fall in love. The blade shape is just one of the most functional blade shapes for EDC, and even if you think it's ugly, that doesn't stop the fact that how useful it is. And some people say the PM2 is blocky and this and that. I don't really think so. I mean, obviously it's not a Griptilian, but it's plenty comfortable for most of the things I do with an EDC knife. Now, it's not considered a hard use knife, even though the locking system is relatively tough. I think they can hold like 150 pounds or something like that. So they're pretty tough for a locking system, but the fidgetability is there. Rapid deployment, rapidly closing. This is a CME from OCD for EDC, if you're wondering what that is. But yeah, they're super iconic. They've been around for a very long time, and they come out in so many different kinds of steels. You can make it your own. They're USA made. I mean, come on. Now, stepping it up from there, since we're on the Spydercos, talk about the Shaman. The Shaman, it's been around for a while. I think it just came out. Did it just come out when I hit the scene in this, you know, the knife community? So it's not like the oldest of knives, but it's been around for a while, and it is a very robust, tough knife. It's kind of like taking a PM2 and giving it some steroids. It is, and that's what it's supposed to be. And it does come in many different options as well. And again, it's just a knife that people will point to if you're looking for a tough EDC knife, maybe not necessarily super hard use like this, but tough. This is one that people point at often. It's really good. Very easy to manipulate, very comfortable in the hand, even more comfortable than the Spyderco Pm2 and Para 3. But yeah, there is another one. Now, piggybacking off of that, because we just did a recent poll between the Mannix and the Shaman. Now, I have to say I'm a little surprised. It's in the comments, it seemed that the Mannix was going to win. But in the poll, the Shaman won the debate. So the community has spoken. They say the Shaman is the winner. I personally would pick the Mannix, whether it's the Mannix or the Mannix 2. I love the locking system. I think it's a locking system that just, you can open and close it, open and close it, open and close it a million times, and it always stays rock solid. It's a locking system that's made to be open with the spring and the ball. You know, the ball wedges right up in the tang. It's nice and strong, very durable. This is the XL, and the XL is amazing. I love this knife. It's tough, it's slicey, it's got that blade shape that's great for EDC, it's comfortable in the hand, easy to manipulate, fun to fidget with. It's an ultimate knife, it really is. And I can't wait for the new Mannix in 15V. Oh, can't wait for that. But yeah, you could say the Mannix, the regular one, or the XL. Yeah, I love it. Next, the Benchmade Griptilian. Now, there are so many different versions of this. I have the Tonto version. I'm not going to bring it out, but these are the sheep's foot versions. There's also the drop point version, the Tonto version. There's the 20 CV version. They started out with 154 CM. These knives have been around for a very, very long time. So they have upgraded through the years, and they've stuck around because of how awesome they are. You know, the Griptilian, you can tell where they're pointing towards with the name of it. Its ergonomics are just so comfortable. It's one of the most comfortable knives that you could get. It's nice and robust. The lock is tough. It's an access lock. Great warranty. Used to come with a hollow grind, but then they stopped that. Now it's just a flat grind. But, you know, with a low angle, it still cuts good. It's robust. You're not going to worry about breaking your tip. It's just a tough work knife. And the Mini, I absolutely love the little Mini sheepdog. I think it's great. I can still get a 4-finger grip on this little knife, and it's compact but just super versatile. And again, nice and comfortable in the hand even for such a tiny knife. One of the most ergonomic knives you can buy, and that does a lot when you're using a knife. How comfortable it is in the hand can change just the way it passes through materials. Because you could have the sliciest knife in the world, but if it's not comfortable in the hand, it's not gonna pass through materials very well because you're not gonna be able to apply the leverage and pressure. Now, Benchmade 940. It's been around forever, not ever, but for a long time. And another one, it's gonna be popular forever. It'll always be around. Most likely. It's a knife that just people gravitate towards, and it's one of the most ultimate work knives. I did a poll between the Spyderco Pm2 Para 3 and what was it? And then the Griptilian, I think. Yeah, and the Griptilian, large or mini, and you guys picked the Spyderco. So this is who won that debate, which I do agree, but it's a tough one because I like them for different reasons. I love the Griptilian. I love the 940 too. I wish the geometry was a little bit better, but that's also the beauty of it. The 940 is a robust, narrow knife. And usually with narrow knives, you don't want them to be robust because they're not going to pass through materials very well. But this kind of makes it to where it can be somewhat of a multi-tool. You know, you can pick, poke, prod, you know, light-duty pry, very light-duty. And get away with a little bit more abusive stuff with such a narrow knife. And it is nice and comfortable. It's nice and slim. You know, you can carry it so effortlessly. You don't even know you have a knife in your pocket, but when you open it up, you do have a full-size knife. And with a low angle, they cut pretty good. So I'll give them that. They do pass through materials just fine as long as you put a low angle on them. But yeah, they are a very narrow blade with thick geometry. It's like a little wedge. But that's the beauty of it. Next, now let's step it up. Okay, let me just be clear. I'm not putting the BUGOUT in this list. I know you see it here. I'm not putting it in the list for two reasons. One, it hasn't been around that long. It's the newest out of all the knives been shown. This is the newest knife. Now it's still, I think it's the newest one. But anyways, my point is it hasn't been around that long, and as of recently, well, when it first jumped on the scene, it was a certain price. And ever since then, it just keeps going up and up and up and up. And now it just raised its price again. It's a knife I can't recommend anymore. It's not worth the money. It's just not. It absolutely is not worth the money. It's, you know, at $130, it's already expensive because you're most likely going to buy aftermarket parts and all this stuff to make it better. Yeah, at this point, you might as well just go with the HOGUE DEKA. You can get the HOGUE DEKA in Magna Cut and FRN for like $130, something like that. And you can get the G10 and 20 CV model for not like $138 for the version 1. And, you know, there's other versions, but it's just much more affordable. It just makes more sense than the price of the BUGOUT. And then there's so many other options in that same area that you go. You can go with the Delica in K390. So many other options. It just, you know, the BUGOUT's starting to get crazy. I think they're at $160 for the base model for the FRN and S30V version. That's a bit steep. That's crazy. And if you want the G10 model and the 20 CV option, oh man, it's well over $200, like $240 or something. It's crazy. So I can't recommend it. Not anymore, at least. Now, very quickly, we're going to go through the heavy hitters. We have the Strider. Strider, people hate them, people love them. They're popular because their fans are so crazy that they sell these knives for extreme prices. Not that I agree with it, not that I think that, you know, it's a rough knife. It's not a knife that's, if you know, has great fit and finish or anything. I've held some that do, but they're always the customs and they're always thousands of dollars. But you know, it's a hard one in this day and age to sell to somebody for what you're getting compared to other knives. Like this one right here. This one, it is rough, but it's still iconic. It's always going to be around. It's always going to be considered a tough USA made knife, you know, and it'll almost always have lock stick as well. But yeah, the Strider knives. You could call, you know, the Strider SNG or the SMF. And then next would be the Microtech Socom Elite. This knife's been around for so long, so long. I even have one here from 1999. Look at that, 1999. Still in perfect condition, brand new. It is a little auto. They don't make these anymore, so this one's a collector. This one's not going to be used or anything. You know, it's very rare. And it's the mini Socom. Maybe one day they'll make a new version of the mini Socom, but here's the full-size one. This one's from 2019, sorry. And it's awesome. It's the ultimate tactical knife, in my opinion. There's a lot of tactical-esque knives, but the Socom Elite is just a knife that it feels tactical. It looks tactical. It does come in a couple different blade shapes, but it's super robust. The grind is made for hard use. You're not going to snap this blade. You might break the tip, but you're not going to snap the blade. Nice and thin behind the edge, though. Even though it's so robust, it rapidly gets down to 15 thousandths behind the edge. So it actually does pass through material somewhat well, even though it has extreme thickness in blade geometry. The ergos are very comfortable. Now this one's an aluminum version. There's like 1,000 different versions depending on if it's a custom or a regular one. But for just the regular one, yeah, the Socom Elite. Titanium liner lock, ceramic caged bearings, very smooth, glass breaker on the back. The thumb stud action is really good. It hammers out there. Very easy to rapidly deploy. The only thing is it is tip down. So a lot of people talk about the reason why is because it's a big knife. So when you pull it out of your pocket, like if it was in my pocket right now, when I pull it out, I'm already to the deployment. So that's the reason why it's tip, because if it was tip up, I'd pull it out, then I'd have to climb up the blade and then deploy it. You know, being tipped down, I can just whoop. Anyways, let's get to the next one. The next ones will be the hinders. Whether you're talking about the minis, the huge XM24s, or the XM18s, this line, the Hinder XM18 line is just badass. I mean, it is. It's a tough knife. It's a robust, hard use, tacticalish tool, and it will always be popular. It's changed a little bit over the years, but it's been around for a very long time. Now they use the tri-way pivot system. Instead of just on washers, you can have washers, bearings, or Teflon washers. And they are built like a tank, and that's the beauty of them. They're just so solid, so tough, so awesome. They do have good action. Their flipper tabs are pokey, but they have great action. Super solid, very comfortable in the hand, and I love it because it feels like a tool. It feels like something that when you hold it, you can tell like this thing is made well, you know. Like there's a lot of knives you'll get in hand and it takes you a little while to really figure out that it's, you know, it's a well-built knife. This right away, you know, like this thing is built extremely well. The machining, the fit, the finish, the everything. So, but yeah, Hinder XM18 knives. XM18, XM24, you know. And then Last on the list, not last on the list, let me be clear, not last on the list, but this is the Chris Reeve knife Sebenza. You could call it the 21, it is the 21, but you could say the 31, but any of the Chris Reeve knives, the Zun, you know, whatever, doesn't matter, all of them. The Chris Reeve knives are always going to be popular, USA made, and the tolerances are extremely tight. It is well done. It's a tool, and that's the beauty of it. It is a premium tool made in the USA, pridefully, with very smooth action. They are very smooth. Now, they're not the bearing action that you get from a lot of the modern knives, but they're not trying to be. They are, and you know, there's a reason for that. You know, they want that tight, slow rolling tolerances. You know, it's just going to hold up over abuse in years and years and years. This is a knife, you know, if you had one and you treated it somewhat good, you could pass it down to your grandchildren. Now, even if you do abuse it and work with it and use the hell out of it, you probably still could. They are just long-lasting, great tools that are built extremely, extremely well. And there's a reason why they're so popular. But I don't have a representation of number 1 on the list, but it's going to be the Buck 110. The Buck 110, it's always going to be around. The Buck 110, when I was a kid, it was popular. Everybody had a Buck 110. Now, everybody doesn't have a Buck 110, but it's such an iconic knife. It's such a knife that everybody knows, everybody loves, and to me, it not only does it speak to me because of me growing up around them and always seeing them, my dad, and just, you know, I think it does that for a lot of people. I think a lot of people just, like, there's something iconic about it and something that they love about it because it reminds them of a knife being a tool, a knife being you know, something you bring onto a job site and just abuse. And, you know, whether you're carving apples on the porch or cutting straps and ropes or, you know, working out in the field, the Buck 110 has just been like a workhorse for so long. And not only has it held up, it has exceeded. Like, it's a knife that... Even this one's from 1991. This is not a Buck 110, but it's very similar to the Buck 110. This is the Schrade Old Timer. But Buck 110s will last generations and generations and generations. People have Buck 110s that their great-grandfathers gave them. And I forget the year they came out. Let's look it up really quick. It was introduced in 1964. And since then has been like an iconic USA-made knife. And there is something about it. It is tough. It's robust. It lasts. It's a workhorse. And over time, over years and years, this backlock, it keeps going. It never gives up. It's just a locking system that's been proven over time to continue kicking. But anyways, there you guys go. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.